folks, it's Cindy here from Hooked on Crafts, and I still owe you guys a market recap from December 1st. And I think it's important that you do not only the really good shows, but sometimes just the average shows, just so that people know it's not always a $2,000 show. Sometimes it's only a $500 or $600 show. Sometimes it's only $100 show. So let's get going and let's talk about the last market in December. So I am going to insert some footage here of what setup looked like. Now this show was at the Illinois State Fairgrounds in the Orr building. It happens on the first Sunday of the month in December. And if you remember, I was unsure how this show was going to go because it turns out it was the same exact weekend as Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Small Business Saturday, and then here we are on Sunday. There was no Small Business Sunday, it was Small Business Saturday. And it turns out they had another craft show at the fairgrounds in a different building on the Saturday. So I was really unsure of how the show was going to go, how many people were going to be there, and so on and so forth. So it turns out we got our first snow flurries on the day of setup. We get to set up on Saturday before the show starts, and which I like about this show. It gives me plenty of time to set up. I don't feel rushed. I don't feel hurried. My husband and my son usually help me load out the big tables and get everything into the venue. And then once we're there, they kind of make themselves scarce and go back home, and I finish setting up all this stuff. So let's take a look at what setup looked like right here. Okay, this is what setup is looking like today. Now, I will tell you that not everything is on the table in this setup. I still have lots of things underneath in bags. Not lots, but several things still underneath the table. I had made like 25, 28 cats, love cats for this show because I had sold them all out at the Little Flower Show. They were one of my best sellers, so I wanted to make sure I had plenty. As you can see from the video, I only put 6 on the table at a time in my box because my box is pretty little that I have my kittens in. So 6 at a time, and when I would sell 2 or 3, I would go back and pull them out from my table and fill them back up. And that's just how I did the cats. Also, some of the pigs, just the basics, I had more stuck underneath the table. So just know that. So when I show you my final, what it looked like at the very end, it's not going to look a ton different because I had a lot of stock ready for this show. And I will tell you, after this show, I have not made hardly one single thing crocheted. I've been taking a break, and so that's just how it goes. I felt like I was very prepared. I had tons of stuff. I've kind of lost my crojo after this show. I think it's because I just had pushed and pushed and pushed to get so much done for these shows to make them good, successful shows that I just kind of burnt myself out. So, and we'll talk a little bit about that later too. So let's talk about my best sellers and what my best sellers were. So first of all, let's just say my number one seller were the loaf cats. I sold all but one loaf cat, and then a few days later, I sold that loaf cat to one of my daughter's friends who wanted it for a Christmas gift. She had seen them, so she wanted that one. So all of the loaf cats, I did not come home. I came home with one, and I sold it a couple days later. So loaf cats, my number one bestseller. Now, I make the smaller size. I believe it's the same size as her kitten size she has now, and I sell those for $10. So mine are a little bit smaller than most folks, and I sell them for $10. I apologize, guys, if you can hear the background noise. I have my 3D printer going in the back right behind me here. Hopefully you can't hear that. I have my microphone on, so it kind of has some noise canceling. But if you do, I apologize. Um, so other things that sold really well for me. My biggest item that I sold was my Snorlax. My Snorlax, I had two big Snorlaxes at $40 each, and I sold one of those. Now, I wanted to make sure I had a couple of these because the show I did in September is also this same group of people. And I had sold out of, I only had one Snorlax at that show, and I sold out of it. And I promised one of the other vendors that I would have one there for her. And that is who bought this Snorlax. I had sold two other Snorlaxes at Little Flower when I did that show. So that was just one of the biggest things that I wanted to get done so that they could see that. So that was my biggest item I sold. I did not sell any of my dragons. I did not sell my big dragon. I did not sell either one of my smaller dragons. So that was a little disappointing. I do love my big dragon. I'm going to keep her as my showstopper for a while. I have her at $100, and I definitely think she's worth $100. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna hang on to her for a little bit longer, let her go to a few more shows, see if I get anything. I may mark her down to like $85 or $75 and just try to get her gone and her in her forever home so that she doesn't stay in my closet all tucked away. So that is so that's a little bit of that. I sold all of my little weenie dogs that I had made. Now this is a free pattern that I use. It was a free pattern on YouTube. It's a tutorial. It's really supposed to be a keychain. Hers is really small, but I make mine with Sweet Snuggles Light yarn, and I made all that I had yarn for. Now, I use the terracotta in the Sweet Snuggles Light, and I will tell you that that yarn has been sold out for a while, so I couldn't even get any more. So that's a little disappointing. I made what I could, and that's all there was for that. So, but I sold all of those that I had. Other good sellers, of course, the little pocket pals. I sold a few keychains. I sold about 5 of my Grinches. Now I was selling my Grinches for $15 a piece. Now you guys let me know. I had 2 sizes of Grinches. I had one that I had done in Bernat Blanket, and I had one that I had done in Parfait Chunky. Now, I had $15 on both, even though one is yay high and one was much smaller. And if I have a picture, I'll pop it up here of the difference in the sizes. But it's the same amount of work, and I felt like they both should have been $15 was a good price. I sold 5 of them, and all of them were the bigger ones. No one wanted to pay $15 for the smaller ones, even though I personally think the smaller ones are cuter. But that's just me. That's my personal preference. But so I sold 5 of those, and I was pretty happy with that. I love the baby Grinches. I believe that's a Plushie Co. and Company pattern. And again, I'll pop a picture up here of them so that you guys can see what everything looked like. So I was pretty happy with that. I also sold several of elephants and pigs, which I hadn't sold very many of those. And I also sold a few whales, which I was really surprised because the whales had not been doing anything for me for the most off. And it was really just a lot of one-offs. The dinosaurs did really well. The little T-Rexes, the Brontosauruses, I usually do fairly well with those. I always sell a couple. So overall, I think it was a pretty successful show. Now this show, and I'm going to pop in another little clip here. There was no room for vendors at this show. There were so many. They had us packed in so tight. And the way my setup was, I maybe had this much room well, probably more like this much room, but I could barely get my chair in to sit down. And then to like restock my table, I was boxed in by other vendors all on each side of me that I kind of had to pull my table back and get out and fill my thing and then push my table back, which was a pain. I had never been at a show where the vendors were so close to each other. Um, I just felt like there just wasn't very much room. Now, there were a ton of vendors at this show, a lot more than what I thought. And believe it or not, the traffic was really, really good. They just weren't. I don't think that necessarily this is my crowd. Yes, I sold some stuff, and it was a successful show. But for the amount of traffic that was going through this show, I really thought my sales would have been a lot higher, and they just weren't. The people that had baked goods were selling a ton of stuff. I seen people walking around with all kinds of food items. So the food vendors did really well. They had cakes. They had a guy a couple spaces down was selling like peanut brittle and stuff, and those people were lined up. So they were spending money, but it really necessarily wasn't on things that I had. Now, I don't feel too bad because the vendors around me really weren't doing that great either. I probably did, probably the few people around me, I probably did the best, or close to the best, of my close neighbors. They they just people just weren't. We were kind of back in the back corner, is where I was laid out, and people were coming by, but I felt like they had already made their purchases by the time they made it to us. Maybe not. Maybe I honestly don't know. I don't. This is the first time I've done this show, so I honestly don't know what to think about that. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. I made total. I sold $735 worth of stuff. $230 of that was on my Square, and the rest was cash. I paid $100 booth fee to be here. So total overall, I made like $630. Again, nothing to scoff at. That's a good day. A lot of people would be very happy for that day. I think it was a successful show. It was just not a great show. In comparison, I paid $80 to be at Little Flower, and I made $1,800 or 1,700, something like that. So that to me, and I only paid $80 to be at Little Flower, so that was a great show. Versus this was an okay show. I would probably do this show again. We'll get back to that here at the end. So yeah, I thought it was a good show. Unfortunately, right after the first of the year, I was browsing through Facebook, and I noticed that the folks who did this show are no longer going to be putting on this show. They had a big announcement, and they have done it for 30 some odd years, and they're just done. They're just done with it. And hopefully somebody else will step up and maybe volunteer to do this show. If so, I will probably continue to sign up for this show. If not, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll just keep looking for some other shows. I don't do a ton of shows. I only do 3 a year. And that's enough for me because I have a full-time job. So that's really plenty for me. So that's my market recap. That's how I did. I'll pop in my video that I took right before I started teardown and let you see what my table looked like. Again, you're not going to see a huge difference because it was a lot of one-offs, and a lot of it I just kept restocking from underneath. I didn't put everything out, but I did restock as I went. So here's that clip.
Yeah, well, you got your existing. Yeah, I did. I had some other stuff on today. Yeah. This guy here. Okay.
So that's how my last show of the year went. Again, I think it was successful. I would do it again if somebody else picks it up, and we'll go from there. I really want to try some new patterns. Like I said, I've kind of lost my crojo. I have not crocheted hardly anything since that show. I did pick my knitting needles up because if you've been with me for a while, I do also knit. I'm a new knitter. I taught myself to knit in 2020 during the lockdown from COVID. So I'm a very new knitter, a very new knitter. But I'm going to show you a couple things that I've been doing, okay? So I did finish a pair of socks, and these are them. And I will tell you, it had been a while. I always like to have a pair of socks in a to go bag. I keep it at work, and when I have some time left on my lunch hour, I will just pick it up and knit two or three. What I was doing with these is I was just knitting two or three color changes. This is self striping yarn. So I knit my socks on a 9-inch circular, cuff down, and I put in an afterthought heel. Now, it had been so long since I had done a afterthought heel. This is a little bit big for me. I'm a size 7, so I have a pretty small foot. And in all honesty, instead of my heel starting here, my heel should have started about right here. So this sock is pretty big on me. I still wear it in my boots. It's not that big of a deal. Nobody sees it. I love my hand knitted socks, so that is one of the reasons that I wanted to learn to knit, because I wanted to make socks. I wanted to make socks, and I wanted to make sweaters because I love the look of knit socks and knit sweaters, and I do not love the look of crocheted socks or sweaters. I I shouldn't say I don't love the look of crocheted sweaters, because some sweaters I do like. I have like a little cocoon thing that I made, but I like to crochet hats and scarves, honestly, if I'm going to make a wearable. I do want to do a poncho, and I haven't decided whether I want to crochet it or knit it. So we'll see how that goes. So I had purchased a pattern a while back, and it's for a colorwork sweater. Again, I'm a new knitter, so I've only done one other colorwork piece, and I'll have to wear it one day and show you guys. It's been a while. If you go back on my channel, I'm sure I wore it and talked about it. I have knit 3 other sweaters, and they're nice. I like them. I wear almost each one of them. So I started this, and it is color work, and I'm trying not to drop my stitches and my needles because I'm not very good at getting them back on. So it has a pattern. My main color is in the navy, and then I'm doing the color work in like a variegated yarn. Now, if you're a knitter, everybody always shows their floats. I think my floats are looking pretty good, honestly. I'm pretty happy with the tension and everything that's coming out of these. And yeah, so I started knitting a sweater. I'm just, I don't know, not very many rows into it, maybe 30. And so I've got like 20 some odd more rows of the color work, which I enjoy doing. And then we'll split for my sleeves. And then really that's the biggest part of it. The other thing that I don't really enjoy is doing the sleeves. And you get lost on Sleeve Island, and it takes me a while. But there's no time frame. It has been snowing a lot here. We got about 9 or 10 inches last week, and then we got another 3 or 4 inches just a couple days ago. So we've had quite a bit of snow. We're expecting more snow next week. So I don't know. In this kind of weather, I just like to hunker down and have a project and just knit on it. So the other thing that I have really been having fun with is, of course, my 3D printer. And I did make some stuff for Christmas. Unfortunately, I gave it all away already, but I will show you a few things, some of my favorites. Fidget toys. Fidget toys did really well. This is one of the fidget toys that I really like. It's called an infinity cube. And I put these in the ladies' little ornament that I had printed out for them. And I see them playing with them all the time on their desk. So this is one of the things, this is one of my favorite fidget toys that I do. It's just fun. It's just a cube and it's got little hinges on it. And I like to do them in two colors just because I think they're prettier. Um, the other um, the other item that I like to make a lot are these little clickers. And I just print like the 3D Lego blocks. And these are one of my favorite things. My daughter, she loves these. She gave some to her friends. They were all happy because she gave a couple of them away, but not to everybody because they didn't have that many and they were upset. So, yeah. So let's see what else. Of course, I have been doing some dragons and some dragon eggs. This is one of the eggs. I was trying to figure out which size dragon. Let me set this down here. So here's the little dragon that goes in it. It's a crystal dragon. Oh, he's got a string on his horn here that I need to get off. And to do that, I use a blowtorch. And you just kind of gotta just kind of do that. Poof, they're gone. So yeah, so I've been working on some of those, and I love this egg. I think it's one of the prettiest eggs. I do another egg. I'll see if I'll grab one here in a second. This one though is magnetic. I will tell you I got one of my magnets in wrong and it kind of is giving me fits. But yeah, this is a very pretty color, the purple and the blue. So that's another one of my 3D printed things. I made this little guy. I like him. My daughter thinks he's kind of spooky. She thinks it's his eyes. I might try to put some pupils on his eyes with a paint pen or something. I don't know. I don't mind him. I like the noise he makes. I think he's fun. I don't know. I just like to print different things and see how they do. Um, let's see, where do I go next? I have also printed, I did sign up to be a Patreon for Cinder. I think it's Cinder Wig is how she says it. And I printed, sorry, that one just had fuzz on it. It wasn't really attached. But this is a pretty good sized dragon. I think he's like 14 inches maybe. I just have an A1 mini, so I can't print him as big as some people. But this was the biggest size that I was able to do with him. And then I also printed this little guy. And I print the dragons because they seem to be fan favorites. And then I printed this little winged guy. And I think he is really cool too. His little legs come down. He will stand up because his legs come down like this. And you can kind of pose him. So I think he is really cool. I did a little snake. It's the year of the snake. Everybody's been printing snakes. This is just a fun one that I had done before. Little Triceratops guy. I think dinosaurs are always a big fan favorite. Had a lot of fun with him. Let's see here. And I printed these, I think they're called zero gravity birds. And you can see he just kind of hangs there on his beak. And this is like a hummingbird one that I did. I did one that's Pokemon, that's Luigi, and I did not Luigi, Lugia. Lugia, sorry, Pokemon fans. That's terrible. So I had that one, and then we also did this one. And yeah, I think these guys are super cool. I think that folks will like them at shows. I don't know. I think they're super cool. It's just science and science, having fun with science, and I don't know. I did Snorlax. Snorlax is one of my favorite Pokemon. Um, I am a huge Pokemon fan. Hold on one second. I got to pick up another. Okay. I also did a Jolteon, and he's a pretty good size. So the Eevee evolutions, I started on some of those. I also did Flareon. Unfortunately, his tail failed, and I threw the failed tail away the other day. I have to reprint his tail because it fell off the printer and didn't make a good print. Let's see here. I'll show you a few more other little things. This is a Cinderwig Rose Dragon. I made it out of a shiny pink. I think she is really cute. She has an egg that has like this rose pattern on it. I kind of want to, can you guys see that? I kind of want to print an egg for this one, like a small egg to put him in, because I think he turned out really cute. And I believe this one, it's another dragon, and I think it's called the Dark Light, and it's got like a heart on its tail, and then the spines are hearts. So I don't know. I love these. They turned out really cute. I've been making a few roses. I haven't printed the stems yet. I've just been working with this pink filament because this pink filament that I got is from Sunlu, and it is gorgeous. It is such a great color. So yeah. And then I've also been making a few of the Stanley cups. I haven't got them completely finished yet. You have to print the lid, and then you put this little part on the lid where the straw goes, and then it's a keychain. And you can fit like a chapstick, which I'm going to have to see if I can find some little chapsticks to stick in there, because I think those are really cute. I'm going to show you this guy. I don't know how you guys will feel about it. He is a balloon dog, and he's taking a dump. So let's see. I made him really small. So you can see him squatting, and then he also has a little poop. And I just think he's funny. He's funny for the desk. I don't know. That's my sense of humor. So yeah, I thought he was funny. Let's see. Hold on. I will grab a few more. Okay, this is another one of the Cinderwig dragons with wings. This is a new filament that I got, and honestly, I'm not that thrilled with it. It looked prettier online than what it does in person. I still think he's very cool. I think some little kid's going to love him. Sorry, I'm putting him back in my bucket here. And then this is the other egg that I make, and I will make a dragon that matches this color. And they just go in there, and then you screw them on. This is a two-tone orange and pink. This is another filament that I really, really enjoy. And this is one of the dragons that I had made in that color, which I think he is really nice. And I had taken him, it's one I printed at my little flower show, and then I didn't sell him. But I usually just take them. I start with their tail, and I try to wind them in there where everything is tucked in. And then I just try to screw them back on here. Just like so. And I sell this guy for $25. And the smaller one, this one right here, I usually sell for $20 because the dragon is bigger in this one and smaller in this one. So yeah, those are some of the 3D printed items that I've been working on. I know this crochet, most of you guys come here for the crochet, and I apologize, I don't have very much crochet, but I have been keeping busy creating some other things, and I just kind of wanted to share that with you. I hope everybody's having a good winter. I hope everybody had a happy new year. Let's make some money this year and some shows, guys. I would love to see what you guys are making and hear how you guys are doing. Okay, that's all I got for you guys today. Everybody have a great day. Talk to you next time. Bye.